Welcome to Johnny's Sports Channel, and we're going Championship Week 15 predictions. Yes, we're already on Week 15 in the Championship now. They've caught up League One, haven't they? We're going to go to Friday's game, which is Watford versus Bristol City. Watford are in 12th on 19 points, Bristol City in 7th. What have we got for the last 6 then? We've got Watford on a win, lose, win, lose, win, draw. There's a bit of a pattern there, isn't there? However, last time out, it was an away draw to Ipswich. Ipswich coming back to equalise on 21 minutes after Watford had gone into the lead with a loser goal. No pun intended there. On 16 minutes. Now, this game, we expected Watford to be pretty much matching this Ipswich side. Well, I certainly did. And they really they tried their best. Look, Watford didn't really do as well as Ipswich did in the defensive quarter for me. They allowed Ipswich in to have a shot at goal far too often. They also allowed Ipswich to have a little bit more possession, which is okay if Ipswich don't do anything with the ball, but Ipswich did, and they managed to get into that final third just a few times for me when Watford should have cut it out. So Watford a little bit weaker at the back for me. At the front, that Ipswich side were just able to just walk into that final third a little bit too often for me. 16 shots to Ipswich, 4 on target, 1 in the net. They'll have been a little bit disappointed that at home they could have made better of those stats, but and they had nearly 60% possession as well, and it was one of the better passing performances of that game week as well. So if you put all of that together, Ipswich would have gone away feeling a little bit aggrieved that they didn't win this one. Watford, on the other hand, 2 shots on target, 1 goal. They would have, out of 4 shots in total, they would have been quite happy with this, and it shows a little bit how the Greens ran for Watford in the last few weeks, and actually they have actually been playing some good football. I have enjoyed watching this side, and it is an enjoyment to watch, which it hasn't been over the last few years. So it is nice to be able to say that I like some of these games that Watford are playing. Bristol City, well, they can be up and down, can't they? They have been up and down all season. However, in the last 6, we've seen lose, win, 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 lose, lose. The 3 wins, Norwich, Southampton and Birmingham. Norwich and Southampton not doing very well at all when they played them. Birmingham, though, a 1-0 win at home to Birmingham. I thought that was really good because Birmingham were just starting to put a couple of games together here and there. And I think they played reasonably well, Birmingham, in that one. Last time out then, Bristol City 0. Blackburn 1, 45 plus 5 minutes over extra time. They would have been gutted they let that one in, wouldn't they? I mean, everything was actually relatively even all the way over the pitch. You know, the passing, the keeping the ball, the dribbling, everything was absolutely even except for one figure, and that was, they had a dozen or so shots at target each. Bristol City had 0 of them on target, half of them blocked, and the other half off target. So, unfortunately, Bristol City just getting into that final third and shooting. Whereas Blackburn were a lot more precise. They actually got 5 or 6 on target and 1 in the net. So Bristol City, really, to me, if they had have actually managed to shoot with precision and choose where the ball was going, which is what you need to do in the Championship. If you need to be at the top or want to be at the top, then that's what they need to do. So what are you all saying here? Watford, Bristol City, you're saying 2-1, 2-1, 2-0, 1-1. You're not giving much of a chance to Bristol City, are you? I think that Bristol City can be up and down. Look, I think it could go either way, this one. I think this one actually is a lot more even than what you're saying. But I am actually going to go with one of your scores. I am actually going to go with Watford 2, Bristol City 1. Let's be guided by some of you guys, shall we, this week? And we're going to go to the next game, which is on a Saturday. And it's going to be Blackburn versus Derby County. Now, Blackburn versus Derby County is... we would think this is going to be one-sided, wouldn't we? Because if we were at the beginning of the season, we'd have been thinking Blackburn near the top and Derby probably somewhere mid-stroke bottom half. Well, it's Blackburn in 18th. It's Derby in 11th. And to be honest, look at this: Blackburn only one draw in the season so far. The last 6 games. Oh look, Blackburn draw, lose, win. So that first draw came 6 games ago for Blackburn, and the last game was the Bristol City game. So it's Bristol City 0, Blackburn 1. And here, just like we've just said, we're talking about the Blackburn side, of course. Blackburn winning this 45 plus 5. They'll be feeling really lucky that they managed to get enough extra time to get this one in. Look, they were just more precise. Like I said, we can't say any more than that. It was an even game, but they were just more precise and getting more of those shots actually on target. So we'll go with the Derby County side, shall we? It's been draw, lose, win. And this Derby side does seem to have got a little bit hold of the game now. We will look at the last 4 in who they played. Norwich City not playing very well. QPR a little bit up and down. Sheffield United, again, not playing their best football of late. And Hull City absolutely flying, I think, and they won them 2-1. We'll go into that game because it was Derby County 2, Hull City 1. And they got an 83rd minute winner, Derby County, in this game. Did they deserve it? Well, actually, it's a very... Dare I say it was actually quite a boring game. I thought it was boring. Look, you probably found it a little bit different. The passing was better by Hull City. Yeah, I enjoyed the passing by Hull City. It was good passing. Derby was a little bit lackluster, a little bit heartless. With there's no drive in there for as far as the passing was concerned. Not as much. Not probably because Hull City was so good in this game. There was only a handful of shots on target in the entire game if you had both sides together. So it was, for me, just one of these games that go from end to end without actually getting into that final third and be able to see it enough to shoot regular enough for it to be a good game for me. There was probably about 15-16 shots on at target in the entire game, so it was pretty dull stuff from my perspective. I think that Derby County on the whole got away with this one. I think Hull played a little bit better football. I think the only thing that made this for Derby County for me, I think it was 3 shots on target for Derby County, 2 in the net, 2 shots for Hull on target, 1 in the net, and that's basically it. Really, I think if you looked at the style and class of football, I enjoyed Hull City more than Derby. So that's the Hull City and Derby game. Blackburn Derby then, what are you all saying for Blackburn Derby? 2-2, 1-1, 2-1 and 2-1. I think that Derby have, yes, they have played a couple of good teams there. They've also played a couple of really poor teams, and I think Blackburn, their last 3 wins, Southampton, poor playing at the minute. Leicester City, they have been average stroke poor for for me in the last few games. And Bristol City, they've been playing really well. So it's almost like a draw for me. I mean, 2-2, 1-1, 2-1, 2-1. What number of goals do we see coming in here? It's quite difficult, isn't it? I'm going to agree with the first person there. I'm going to go Blackburn 2, Derby 2. I can see it going either way, but I'm going to sit on the fence as we go to Hull City versus Portsmouth. Now, Hull City have been playing a lot better than what we thought, haven't they? In fact, they've been playing extremely well for considering that they were on the embargo. Hull City in 8th, Portsmouth in 20th. Portsmouth really, really needing a win after that defeat midweek. And, of course, Southampton won and went above them. That's an awful thought for Portsmouth fans there. And what do we think of Hull City's chances here then? Win, 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 draw, win, lose. The last time out, it was a defeat to Derby County. 2-1, as we've just said. It just seems to be falling this week, doesn't it, for the looking at the games. And like we said, Hull City lost it. It was a pretty dull game, to be quite honest, and they just didn't get in. For me, neither team really got into the gist of things and getting into the other end. Perhaps it was the fact that both teams were really good in defence, but I don't really think it was. Perhaps it was a fact that they both not really got the strikers up there, but I don't really think that is either. I think it was just a team performance from both sides that was pretty dull. We go to Portsmouth then. Win, draw, lose, draw. The last time, actually, the Portsmouth 0, Wrexham 0. And talking to a few Portsmouth fans, because that's where I live. And actually, Portsmouth should have got at least 2 or 3 here. And we will give the stats, because it does actually match up. It was about 50-50 on possession. Wrexham had a couple of percent more, perhaps. But Portsmouth actually had 19 shots on target, 19 shots at target, 7 shots on target, and none in the net. They would have been absolutely gutted they didn't get 2 or 3 goals in this one, because they really did run riot at in the final third. However, Wrexham, with their 50%, got 8 shots at target, 3 on target. And realistically, both teams played decent enough passing football, decent enough possession football. It was a good game. But Portsmouth had the edge all the way through this game and really should have won this one. But like my friends in Portsmouth say, they just haven't got anybody to put the ball in the net. So that's what we get from that game. And if we start looking at the number of goals for the last 4 games for Portsmouth, defeat to Coventry, 1 goal, defeat to Stoke, no goals, defeat to Birmingham, no goals, and a draw at Wrexham, no goals. Home to Wrexham. So they're not scoring here. My worry is that Hull City aren't shooting, whereas at least Portsmouth are shooting. So what are you thinking here? Because you're saying Hull City Portsmouth, by the way, 2-1, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0 and 3-0. I'm going to stick to what I said to the guy I work with, and he said 3-0. I'm going to go with Hull City 2, Portsmouth 1. They do actually play better away, pretty decent away from home, to be honest, but I think that the Hull City will just about have enough here as we go to Millwall versus Preston. This is one of the 2 top games. This was on Talk Sport this morning. Millwall, Preston. Millwall in 5th, Preston in 4th. And this is going to be a battle royale. But you see, I agree with Talk Sport. I think that what's been happening with Millwall is it's just been good football. They seem to have got the run of the green, a little bit like Blackburn did last season, without actually playing any brilliant football. It's not been it's not been a side that you could look at and say that's a top 6 side. However, Preston have been playing some damn good football. They have looked good, they have looked slick. Yes, they've slipped up occasionally, but they got up off their arse and actually played some good football straight after. And that's what I like about a team like Preston. They can have a bit of a bad weekend and they put it aside and they get going the next week. Millwall then, let's have a look at their last 6. It's been win, draw, lose. Now, we have to look at that game, I'm afraid. Birmingham 4, Millwall 0, and we didn't think that, well, I didn't think Birmingham would be able to pull that one out of the bag, but they did. Did many people see it? Absolutely not. 60% possession to Birmingham, probably about right with the stats here, I think. 12 shots to Birmingham, 4 shots to Millwall, 6 shots on target out of those 12 for Birmingham, 2 shots on target out of 4 for Millwall. Now, out of those 6, Birmingham scored 4. Out of those 2, Millwall scored none. Now, we also have to look at the passing and the possession here. And Birmingham had some very, very slick passing, and they had some very, very slick possession football. It was actually one of the top few games for possession figures in that particular game week. So Birmingham did really well, and they pulled that one out of the bag without a lot of people doing predictions, noticing it was coming. Millwall had no idea that was coming. They couldn't get a shot off for love nor money. They couldn't get out of their own end for love nor money. They did manage to get into the other half, but even then they managed to do very, very little with it. And it's a shame, because Millwall have done some really... I've seen some really good games from Millwall away from home. There, it didn't work. Preston, and I really enjoyed Preston. Look, they have had a few injuries in defence. However, I am told by William, my Preston supporter, that they've now gone, and we're now into a really good, solid side. Win, lose, lose, win, 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 and you can see that this side is buzzing. Now, those last 3 games, let's just be honest, those last 3 wins, Sheffield United 3-2 win. You know, Sheffield United, look where they are. They haven't been playing great football. They won them, but only 3-2. They shouldn't. I wouldn't have thought they'd have let 2 in, to be quite honest. Southampton 2-0 win. But look where they are. They're dropping down the table. Although they did win midweek against QPR. And then the last one, which we'll look at, which was a home win. Preston 2, Swansea City 1. I'm trying to go quick for you, and it's not working, is it? So Preston 2, Swansea City 1. This game, Swansea can score. They can. We know they can. And they'll be gutted they didn't win this one, because they had more than 2/3 of this game. The ball was with a Swansea player. And Swansea are the away side, remember. They shot almost 20 times against that Preston net. But only 5 of them were on target. And it's like, you get a handful of shots on target from so many shots at target. And I tell you what, it was more than half of those shots that they put on target were just blocked. It was just like, get it in and just whack it somewhere into towards the sticks. Even if there's defenders there, just whack it towards them. Not the way to do it in the Championship. You need to have some nous and to place the ball. And yeah, it does work. It absolutely does work. I've seen it work with Rotherham. We used to belt it right at the end of Paul Warne's era, and then he decided, look, we're not going to have 15, 20 shots at goal. We're going to have less, but they're going to be placed. And I tell you what, we didn't shoot as often, but we actually got more goals because they were placing the ball. They were stopping, looking up and nipping it into the top corner or the bottom corner, and it was perfect because we got more goals. That's what I think Swansea need to do here. 18, 19, 20 shots at target and only a quarter of them on target, and most of them were blocked. So I think Swansea here would have been going away feeling pretty gutted. The home side only got 4 shots at target, 3 of them on target and 2 in the net. It shows you how precise and how well oiled that front line is. They're confident. They're choosing their time. They're choosing their position. They're doing what I've just said. They're choosing their slot in the net and they're going for it. And I tell you what, that ratio is what you get when you shoot and you know where you're placing that ball. So we've got Millwall Preston. What are you thinking with Millwall Preston? 1-1, 3-1, 2-0 and 1-0. One person going for a draw. Yeah, I think that you might have got this one totally wrong. I'm going to go with William, my esteemed Preston fan, and I'm going to go Millwall 1, Preston 2, and I'm going to move on quickly because I think I might upset some people with that one. Borough Birmingham next. Now Birmingham, like I said, I've been just improving for me. Borough in 3rd, Birmingham in 9th. They've snuck up there, and even TalkSport seem to have. They've been saying, oh yeah, they're just going to try and stay in the division, aren't they? This team has actually improved quite well, and we're only in November, remember. So Middlesbrough are. Where are Middlesbrough in 3rd, Birmingham in 9th, Middlesbrough lose, win, draw, lose, draw, and they lost it, didn't they? In at Leicester 1, Borough 1, Alfie Jones being sent off on 90 minutes. Borough were by far the best team for me in this game, but again, an awful lot of those shots were just high and wide this time. They weren't even blocked. More than half of their shots, and there were almost 20 of them, bang, straight high wide. They didn't even get blocked. They were just high and wide. Only 4 or 5 of those shots, well, 3 or 4 of those shots were actually on target for me. For Borough, and that is dreadful. You've got to at least hit the target, guys. Leicester City, though, were really good for their money. They didn't have. I mean, they had about a third of the gameplay possession wise. They had a handful of shots at target. But they only had 1 or 2 on target and 1 in the net. So, they actually managed to be very, very clinical in this game. And they have been clinical for me quite often. And when you think that Borough actually had only a handful of shots on target themselves and 1 goal, you realise that actually both these teams can be really, really clinical in front of goal. So 1-1 was probably about right for Borough. Birmingham then, draw, lose, win, win. These sides seem to be just moving the opposite direction. Middlesbrough having a little bit of a slight blip here. They only won 1-0 at Sheffield Wednesday, and they weren't playing really well at that point. And I think that realistically, this team is slightly gliding down. Birmingham, we just saw, didn't we? The Birmingham 4, Millwall 0 game. So we don't need to go through that. Birmingham really did run this one very, very well. Handful of shots on target. 4 of them in the net. This team seems for me to be doing well. 8 goals in 2 games for Birmingham. Just think that as we go. Birmingham away at Borough. What are you thinking here? So it's Borough Birmingham 3-3, 2-2, 2-1 and 3-2. I actually think, again, you've got this one wrong. I'm going to reverse that last person's score. I'm going to go with, you're going to hate me, aren't you? Borough 2, Birmingham 3. And we'll move on quickly. I'm going to get into trouble here, aren't I? Hey, it's all for fun, isn't it? We don't take anybody's predictions seriously. do we? Norwich City versus Leicester next. So we've got two cities on the go. Leicester in 13th, Norwich in 22nd. Now Leicester City 6 draws. They are away though, so we tend to be a little bit one way or the other for Leicester away from home. I think the last 2 draws for them were indeed at home for Leicester. So Norwich City lose, draw against Sheffield Wednesday. Now that draw against Sheffield Wednesday, realistically, they should have been thinking about a win here. They went behind on 4 minutes from that great man Barry Bannon, and he really is, even if I am a Rotherham fan. Norwich City then got a goal on 61 to level this one up. But I tell you what, this was really a game where Sheffield Wednesday really, I think that they really should have won this one. The quality of that Norwich side did show through. The passing, I thought, was the good quality, even if they didn't really make too much of it. And I thought that the way they passed it was good, but they only got about 2 or 3 shots on target, Norwich City, whereas I think Sheffield Wednesday got 6 or 7. So, 1-1, Sheffield Wednesday would have been going home thinking, we should have won that one. We should have won that one, and we would have been almost on 0 points. Absolutely. Leicester City then. Leicester City win, draw, lose, draw. They've got the exact last 4 lose, draw. These 2 teams, and we got the Leicester City 1, Borough 1. Of course, that the red card doesn't matter because it was on. It's just Alfie Jones on 90 minutes. So, but like we were saying with that one, Leicester City, they were probably lucky to get away with a goal here. Borough should have absolutely slaughtered them, but they were just hitting them high and wide, Borough, and I don't think it was because of a good defence either by Leicester City. I think that Leicester just let them have too many shots. So that Leicester defence, a little bit haphazard when it comes to allowing people to have enough of a view to give it a crack. So Norwich City playing poorly, Leicester City getting the shots, but I think occasionally, but they can be really clinical in front of goal if you give them a shot. But they don't get many of them. So we've got a good class of finish when they can get there for Leicester City. Norwich, for me, yeah, they can do that, but of late they've just been dropping off the end of a cliff, haven't they? What are you thinking, Norwich Leicester? 1-1, 0-2, 2-1 and 0-1. I actually agree with you on that one again, and first time in three predictions, isn't it? I'm going to go Norwich 0, Leicester City 2. Let's move on. We're going to move on to Sheffield United versus QPR. So Sheffield United in 23rd. 0 draws. I didn't realise that. 0 draws. And QPR in 16th. And Sheffield United just starting to play a little bit better for me. However, run of the green just seems to be going against them. Like the Oxford loss that they did. They should have won that one. And several others where they should have won it. And they've got either drawn it or lost it. Sheffield United then lose, win, lose. The 3 losses there: Preston North End, Derby County and Coventry. Well, you wouldn't expect them to win Coventry, but I'll tell you what, Coventry didn't have a very good first half. They really didn't turn up for me, Coventry, in the first half. Sheffield United did go ahead in the first half 1-0, and you're thinking they really should have been more than 1-0 up at half time, Sheffield United. But they just didn't do it for me, and they should have done. I think that it was a shame because in the second half, Coventry came back and really started to assert their extremely good abilities to shoot at goal. So the fact that they had about 17, 18 shots at target, this Coventry side, is made even better by the fact that most of those were in the second half. Just think about that one. It's no wonder they've got a goal difference of what they have, isn't it? And Sheffield United, well, they played well in that first half, and then in the second half they just allowed Coventry to come back at them, which was a shame because I think that it was partially Sheffield United thinking, let's just blockade now, try and get away with this one goal, and partially Coventry thinking, we're at home, we should be doing better than this. So what's the 6 for QPR? Win, lose, win, lose, lose, lose. Their defeats, though, have been against Derby County, Ipswich and Southampton. Some very sort of middle style teams there. Last time out, a very surprising QPR 1, Southampton 2, and they did equalise on 73 minutes, however. It's a late goal, wasn't it, by QPR, 73 minutes. It was 2-0 on 69 by Cienza for Southampton. This game, another one of those games where QPR should have really trounced this Southampton side. They had almost 2/3 of the possession. They had twice as many shots on at target, almost 19-20 shots in total. A quarter of them on target, and yet they only managed one of them in the net. They would have been absolutely gutted. I can't imagine what their supporters were thinking. On the other hand, Southampton, very little in the way of bite up front. Only 2 shots on target and 2 in the net. How lucky can you get? QPR 1, Southampton 2, and QPR fans would have been absolutely rolling in the aisles, wouldn't they? Sheffield United QPR then, we'll finish for a minute with this one and have a look at the other half in a second. 2-1, 2-1, 1-2 and 2-1. It's a really difficult one because I think that QPR side really should have been doing better than that against Southampton. But then Sheffield United really did well for half the game against Coventry. This could go either way, couldn't it? It really could go either way. I think QPR are going to want to make amends for doing so well against Southampton and losing it. I'm going to go Sheffield United 2, QPR 1, and we'll go to the next game. Right, a little impromptu break there. We go to Southampton versus Sheffield Wednesday. Southampton are in 19th after that win midweek. Sheffield Wednesday are still 24th in -4 points. They'll have been a bit disappointed, won't they, with that last game, Sheffield Wednesday. Really, they should have. I think they could have done better than that, actually. Sheffield Wednesday, I think they could have got a win there. But never mind. Southampton, we have draw, lose, win. That last game, QPR that we saw, QPR 1, Southampton 2, just 2 shots on target for Southampton, 2 in the net. They're not playing very well at all. And I tell you what, the passing as well. The passing, we have to mention the passing for QPR. It was really good. Absolutely, really. It was one of the top 6 or 7 passing performances of that game week. And yet Southampton still, the midweek games, and Southampton still managed to win. I just don't know how they managed to do it. Sheffield Wednesday then, lose, draw. Look, this side's been getting quite good for me, and it's found a couple of really good youngsters. I'm just waiting for these youngsters to start matching up with the likes of Barry Bannon, the older heads that they've got, the 1 or 2 they have got, and this team to start playing like a real championship side. I think it can. Now, I'm a Rotherham fan, so I shouldn't be saying things like that. But this side has actually doing well. Barry Bannon scored on 4 minutes. And Norwich scored on 61. But yes, I think Sheffield Wednesday would have been... They were just... Game-wise, they were just a little bit more precise than for me at least getting the damn things on target. Everything else, was a little bit even. But like we said when we reviewed Norwich... that Sheffield Wednesday side would have just about been going home thinking, damn, we should have won this one. I think a 2-1 scoreline would have been about right there. So because we've been through both their last 2 games for the opposition, we can go straight to the results you're thinking of. So we're looking at Southampton versus Sheffield Wednesday. 3-1, 3-0, 2-1, 1-0. And I absolutely disagree with you emphatically here. Really do. That Southampton side ain't scoring. It's scoring 1 usually. It's usually 1, perhaps 0. I think that they'll score their 1 goal. It's a case of will Sheffield Wednesday score? And Sheffield Wednesday can. They regularly score either 1 or 0. So I'm thinking 1-1. But yeah, we're going to go 1-1. I think we'll have to do that. Southampton 1, Sheffield Wednesday 1. I just think that Southampton are going to score 0-1 again, and Sheffield Wednesday are scoring 0 or 1, perhaps a little bit less often, but I think that it's going to be another one of those days for that team. Sheffield Wednesday could come away with a win. Absolutely. Pains me as a Rotherham fan to say it, but I think Sheffield Wednesday could nick that one. As we go to Stoke City versus Coventry. And of course, this, if you look at the table, is Coventry in first, Stoke City in second. And Stoke City would actually go 1 point behind Coventry if they won this one. I was listening to Talk Sport this morning, actually, and if you look at the Stoke City side, draw, win, lose, win, win, win. In their last two games, Stoke City have scored 8 goals. In their last 2 games, Coventry have scored 6 goals. Ouch. I'm agreeing with Talk Sport. I think this is going to be a goal fest. They were suggesting 3 3s and 3 2s. I'm probably going to go with one of those, I think. Which way round would it be if it was a win? Well, we look at the Oxford game for Stoke City first. Oxford 0, Stoke City 3. And this was actually quite good. The defence, we have to think about this carefully. Stoke City allowed Oxford in to see the goal, that final third, far too often. However, they managed to stop them getting a clear sight on goal most of the time. In fact, they only had, it's probably about right, 50-50% possession. Stoke City allowing Oxford to have the ball when they were not doing anything with it. But they had 16 shots, Oxford, against Stoke City's 14. So you can see how they got into position quite regularly. However, out of those 16, Oxford only got 1 on target. And 5 of them were just blocked. So you can see how Stoke City managed to pull them back. Just let's not have them have an absolute clear shots on target. Yeah, they had a couple of really brilliant chances to score, Oxford, but they didn't score any of them. 1 of those on target, none in the net. Stoke City, they had 14 shots at target, 6 on target, 3 in the net. This Stoke City side is doing really well. And I like the way that they're handling the defence. They're not just boarding it up and making sure that they're parking the bus. They're saying, well, look, depending on the side, we'll just manage the defence. We'll manage where the opposition have the ball and how far we allow them to come before we blockade it. And it's working, and it worked really well there. So Coventry City, of course, in first position there. Win, 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 lose and win. The surprising one for me was the Wrexham defeat away from home. Wrexham 3, Coventry 2. And here, we have to go to it. It was actually quite even, this game. There were sort of around 15, 16 shots from both sides during the game, and there was sort of, I think, 5 shots on target for Coventry and 7 on target for Wrexham. The averages just about matched the scoreline 3-2, but Coventry will have been a little disheartened that they didn't at least get a draw. Sheffield United was their last game, and I tell you what, Coventry 3, Sheffield United 0. Coventry didn't even start this game until half time, and then they decided to play, and they played pretty well. In fact, most of their shots in the second half, and they racked them up. And that's what was really impressive. They just seemed to be able to shoot willy-nilly and get them on target, which to me is the point here. 17 shots at target, 8 on target. Remember that one. As we go just quickly back to the Oxford game, 17 on and 8 on. So we're talking just about half, aren't we? Whereas Stoke City, 14 on target, 14 at target, 6 on target. So there's not a great deal between these two sides, not at all. And when you look at the opposition, Oxford, Sheffield United, not a great deal of difference there either. So we're looking at two sides. Not only are they in the same position in the table, first and second, but these two sides could absolutely hammer each other's goal. And I think realistically, I like the way Stoke City handle their defence. I actually do. I think that the way Stoke City handle their defence is really, 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 really good. Just letting the opposition have it up to a certain point, let them do their thing, and then only when they get into a position where they might be able to pass into a free shooting area, they stop it. Now, what are you saying? 2-3, 2-3, 2-3, 2-2. 3-2. I am actually going to go with only one person there who said this. I'm going to go with Stoke City 3, Coventry 2. And I'm actually agreeing with somebody from TalkSport Radio as well, who also believes that Stoke City will just nick this one, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. So I'm agreeing with a couple of people. Hopefully the right ones. Swansea City versus Ipswich next, and Swansea City are in 17th. Ipswich are in 10th. The Ipswich side for me has just turned a corner. They've started to play a little bit more better than they had. Swansea, I think they started excellently, and I really was happy to. They're going to be free scoring, this team. It'd be nice to see a Swansea team that can just score 2, 3, 4 goals in a game. And it didn't really happen after a while, did it? And they seem to have just got into a bit of a doldrum. And 17th, you would have hoped they would have hoped they would have been higher than that. Swansea City, draw, lose, win, lose, draw, lose. Last time out, Preston 2, Swansea City 1. We saw this, didn't we? Swansea actually really did run this really, really well, but a lot of their shots were blocked. If they'd have actually managed to get a couple of those block shots positioned and placed in the net, this team should have been probably 2-1 up themselves. It's just that placing of the shot that has at the minute it's put Swansea on the back foot. They can and they have been shooting, just not quite getting the precision. Ipswich, though, win, lose, lose, win, win, draw. It was Ipswich 1, Watford 1, both in the first half, of course. Ipswich scoring second. And Ipswich really will have been thinking, how the hell do we not win it? Because they had almost 2/3 of the possession. They had 15, 16 shots at goal. They had 3 or 4 on target and 1 in the net. Watford had 2 shots on target, 1 in the net. Ipswich fans. And Ipswich, they had almost one of the best top, I think about one of the best top 3 passing stats of that game week. So they really did run this show, and they showed that they were at home really, really well. And the fans would have been going home gutted. They really would. They really didn't show what they could do. So there's 2 sides here. Swansea and Ipswich both really thinking we should have done better. We should do better. And several times, I mean, even at Man City for Swansea, they should have done. They did so well. They lost 1-3 at home, and you're thinking, Man City, Carabao Cup. That was a good show, I thought, by them. So I'm going to have to be guided by you lot, or I would be. But look at this. Swansea City, Ipswich. What are you saying? 1-2, 2-1, 0-2, 1-1. Thanks a lot, guys. Oh, dear Lord. Where do we go? I think Ipswich, on the whole, it really is difficult. Do I sit on the fence? I'm going to have to sit on the fence. I'm going to have to go Swansea 1, Ipswich 1. It could go any way at all, this game. Do like, subscribe, do tell me down below your comments, because on that one, I am absolutely stuck. And we go to the Bays next. We're going to go to West Brom versus Oxford, and it's West Brom in 15th, Oxford in 21st. Oxford now just about starting to make a gap. 4 points between them and the relegation zone and Norwich City. And they're needing just to keep those points coming. Let's go to them in a minute. West Brom, lose, win, lose, draw, lose. Charlton last time. Charlton, 90 plus 5 minute winner for Charlton through Carey. And West Brom 0. And it was a really even game. Really even game, but both these teams didn't want to lose it. I mean, just look at I think it's the shots on target that we need to look at here. Charlton, 3 shots on target. West Brom, 1. When you think that they all had about 12, 13 shots during the game, that's not very good, is it? And both of these defences were cracking. Both of these defences. I think both of them deserve a really good slap on the back, because they actually did really, really well. And if you look at the goals against for West Brom, it's actually not too bad. They're not getting hammered, apart from the 3-0 away defeat at Millwall 6 games ago. And Oxford United, they're not really getting hammered, apart from that 3-0 defeat last time out at Stoke. So it's really, really difficult. I mean, you look at that Oxford-Stoke game, Oxford 0, Stoke 3, and you think Oxford actually had a good amount of shots, 16 shots, but only 1 on target. And 10 of them went haywire. If they could actually place some of those 10 shots that went high and wide, what would happen? So neither of these teams to me, seem to be able to score enough goals. You are talking usually 0 or 1. And letting goals in, they do. Both sides are guilty of letting 1 or 2 goals in. So typically you'd be saying both sides should lose 2-1. So West Brom versus Oxford. Let's go at this. 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0 and 2-1. I'm going to go with one of my West Brom supporters here, and I'm going to go West Brom 2, Oxford 1. I don't know where he gets his second goal from, but I'm going to go with it. I'm going to trust my my instincts with this guy. And if you're watching and listening to it, it's all your fault. Wrexham versus Charlton next. And Wrexham, of course, pulled out that really good win recently, didn't they? Charlton is 6th, Wrexham in 14th. and we look at Wrexham. Lose, win, draw, lose, win against Coventry, and then Portsmouth 0-0 draw. Those two games were chalk and cheese. Coventry, they managed to grind out that 3-2 win. Portsmouth, though, they didn't do very well at all in the Portsmouth game. Portsmouth 0, Wrexham 0, and Portsmouth had about 20 shots here, and actually a third of them were on target. 7 or 8 shots on target, and yet, no goals. They just can't put one in the net. Wrexham, that's where I live, and lots of Portsmouth fans saying, we just can't put it in the net. Lots of shots, they're just not going, and on target, they're just not going in the net. Wrexham's goalkeeper really good though, and I'm thinking, that's good. That's part and parcel of the fact that they haven't got a goal scorer, therefore the shots are a little bit weaker, a little bit easier to save, and with a good goalkeeper that Wrexham got, is really difficult, isn't it? They only had 3 shots on target, Wrexham, and none of them in the net. The passing was okay. Their quality of possession was mid-table, okay. Wrexham versus Charlton. Charlton was West Brom last time. Charlton, wasn't it? Charlton 90 plus 5 minute winner. Charlton 1, West Brom 0. Like we said in that last game, Charlton here really did. They nicked it, look. Both of these sides had top 6 passing figures in that game week, both of them, and I think a draw would have been about right here. Although West Brom, like I say, 1 shot on target for West Brom out of 13 shots. It's not good, is it? But equally, Charlton 3 shots on target out of 11. Possibly a little bit more acceptable for a mid-table championship team there by Charlton. West Brom, though, will have been absolutely gutted. And they weren't all blocked. There were only 3 or 4 blocked there. So we've got 2 sides here that are quite capable of doing great things. We know that Charlton can. That 95th minute winner was just testimony to 3 shots on target, 1 in the net. And they can be very clinical in front of goal. But Wrexham can as well. And I'm just a little bit concerned here that this could be a very, very tight game indeed. What are you saying? 1-2, 3-1, 1-2, 1-1. I'm actually going to go with it being a lot tighter than what you're thinking. I'm going to go with Wrexham 1, Charlton 1. Please do like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next prediction video or in our live stream if we do one on Saturday doing a watch along. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe to John Esser Sports Channel.